Well, as time goes on, Venezuela, man, do I feel bad for those people. Well, this is America. It can't happen here. I bet the people of Greece said that. This is Greece. We're not a third world country. That can't happen here. And then it did. And it's been going on for a few years now in Greece. Massive unemployment, massive austerity measures. It's still ongoing. Greece is not a third world country. It's a first world country. It's a member of the EU. Unfortunately, Venezuela is not. Not that it would matter, because I think not a damn thing would change even if it was. You need to know about this should anything like that come here, because you have to understand something. In order for the elite, the club, to usher in the New World Order, you must feel a significant amount of pain and suffering. Financial, food problems, whatever it is. You must feel that pain, or else you're not going to stand for destroying our sovereignty and just joining some New World Order system. Why would we do that? They're like, well, everything was fine. Oh, just because the stock market crashed? Oh, no. Oh, no. It's got to be a lot more than just a market crash, because how many times have we had market crashes? Hell, we had the Great Depression, 1929, 1930, 31, 32, 33, etc. We didn't join no New World Order. We got by. We went through that. And back then, there wasn't EBT cards, food stamps. They had the food, soup lines. And, of course, that's the only thing different from then and now is the guy standing right next to you in line may be on food stamps or EBT. And as I've mentioned numerous times, employees that work at grocery stores like Walmart said that every other person or so appears to be on food stamps, has an EBT card. I think it was every third person or 1 out of 3 or something was what it was, but I remember the guy specifically asked them, how many of these people, every other person or so usually is. So that's interesting. Now, of course, that might change from Walmart to Walmart depending on what area the Walmart is in, right? If you got a Walmart next to a very poor neighborhood all around the area, you're going to see a whole lot of people with food stamps or EBT. But point being, while this is doomy and gloomy for Venezuelans, I keep telling you, do you have any idea what gold and silver has done price-wise in Venezuela? The previous president over there, we got our gold back. He's showing the gold bars, and they got this big convoy. Yeah. Got our gold back from the club. Then he dies mysteriously of a fast-moving cancer. And then Mr. Nicolas Maduro takes over. And what's he doing now? Selling off all their gold in a desperate panic attack to try to help things out. And it ain't doing nothing. They won't have any gold. They won't have any metals when he's done with them and when the club is done with him. But it makes a great informative story to tell on my YouTube channel, so you can see what those people are experiencing. This isn't some movie. It's not fake. These are real people standing in real, massively long lines outside, down streets, down roads, winding roads, to get some damn food. What have I been telling you all these years? Guns, ammo, food, stored food, precious metals. And my fourth recent one, get you a really powerful water filter like a reverse osmosis system, because all the crap that's in the water, you have no idea if you have a governor or mayor or whoever who's known about lead in the water, such and such in the water, poison in the water. It's going on for a year. We'll figure it out. Meanwhile, the whole population is getting sick and, lead poisoning over in, I keep saying Wisconsin, so it's not Wisconsin. Is it Michigan again? I think it's Michigan. Anyways, let me read this story. Let me read this story. Many people expect, this is courtesy of Silver Doctors, collapsing Venezuela is out of food. Prepping became illegal. Long lines mandatory. Many people expect an economic collapse to be shocking, instant, and dramatic. But in reality, it's far more gradual than that. This is what it looks like. Submitted by Daisy Luther, the organic prepper. It's a good thing she doesn't live in Venezuela with a name like that, because you wouldn't be allowed to be a prepper. Venezuela is out of food. After several years of long lines, rationing, and shortages, the socialist country does not have enough food to feed its population, and the opposition government has declared a nutritional emergency. This is just the most recent nail in the beleaguered country's slow, painful economic collapse. Many people expect an economic collapse to be shocking, instant, and dramatic, but really it's far more gradual than that. It looks like empty shelves, long lines, desperate government officials trying to cover their tushes, and hungry people. For the past 2 years, I've been following the situation in Venezuela as each shocking event has unfolded. Americans who feel that our country would be better served by a socialist government would be wise to take note of this timeline of the collapse. Bernie Sanders, anyone? Bernie Sanders calling Mr. Sanders socialist, right? Many people, a quick review why Venezuela is out of food. In 2013, many began to suspect that the outlook for Venezuela was grim when prepping became illegal. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Luisa Ortega Diaz, called on prosecutors to target people who are hoarding basic staples with serious sanctions. Shortly thereafter, grocery stores instituted a fingerprint registry to purchase food and supplies. Families had to register and were allotted a certain amount of supplies to prevent hoarding. Now, see, for me, this is why I've been telling you all these years, well in advance, to start your hoarding, so to speak. Buy your food now while it's readily available, while you can have as much as you want, you can store as much as you want, so that when this crap happens to you, and should, wherever you are, government implements such a thing like this, where you can't go to the grocery store and just load the boat, and they do the fingerprint scan, just like Venezuela, then at that point, you don't have to say, well, I need more, I want more, I'm scared, oh wait, I'm going to get the allotted amount that the government says I can have, because I've got a nice hoard that I've had for years still at the house. And I'm not going to burn through that when I can get in line with everybody else and get it. However, depends on the line. How long is the line? Jason, what kind of line are we talking about? A line inside, like all the registers, long line, half hour for you to get through? Or a line outside the door, down the street, down the block, to the next city, perhaps? In that case, let me crack open that hoard I've got, right? If this is the line to get to the store, to get your basic staples, can't hoard anything, just this is it. In that case, you may say, you know what? I don't feel like standing in line for, a couple of days. Good thing I got some dehydrated food. Now, at the same time, one will have to ask this question, and it's not ready to be asked yet. Or at least, it's not ready to be answered yet, because we don't know. But the question would be, how long are these people going to be, in this country, going to be doing that on a daily, weekly basis, whatever it is? How long of a time frame is this going to last? And if the answer is, a few years, then that should let you know, how much food storage do I need? How much food storage do I need? Well, if that's a few years, then the answer is a few years of food storage. Dehydrated foods, freeze-dried foods, etc. And while some of that stuff's not the most tastiest stuff, believe it or not, a lot of it's actually pretty damn decent. But while it's not always the best stuff, as far as taste goes, or standing in the line for a couple days outside, it might be raining, it might be snowing, it might be freezing. Might have some upset people. We might get mugged, right? People get fighting. It goes hand in hand with this. Boy, wouldn't you like to not have to deal with that? Wouldn't we all? So back to the quick review. Then just over a year ago, it became even more apparent that the country was failing when long lines for basic necessities such as laundry soap, diapers, and food became the norm rather than the exception. So here's part of that answer. Just over a year ago. So we'll round that for the time being to a year ago approximately. These lines for foods and soap and diapers, it's been going on for a year. So now, again, the next question is, well, how long is it going to continue? Another year? Another 2 years? That would be a 3-year total. And you might say, Joe, I don't have a place to store 3 freaking years of freeze-dried foods or dehydrated foods. And all I can say is, myself included, I don't have that much. I sure hope we don't have to deal with it that long when it comes. Thousands of people were standing in line for 5 to 6 hours. My little 2 days, 5 to 6 hours. Do you want to spend 5 to 6 hours standing in a freaking line? No. In the hopes that they would be able to purchase a few much needed items. Keeping in mind, in hopes that when they got there was still some left. Oh, I don't know how you say this in Spanish, but no food. Oh, you need diapers? A lot of diapers. How about these canned goods? A lot of those too. Try again next week. But I need it now. Sorry, truck doesn't come till next week. Try again next week. Or maybe it's not that bad. Try again in 2 days. But I just stood in line for 6 hours. I just got up here. It took me 6 hours. Yeah, so listen, the next shipment's 2 days from now. I'm going to recommend you get in line the day before. Like, you know how the Americanos, they get in line early for Xbox, gaming systems, TV screens, things like flat screen? Yeah. They're experts at getting in line early for crap. You need to follow what they do, except not for TVs. I noticed we have plenty of TVs. Señorita, plenty of TVs. You want a TV? No, I want food and diapers. I've got more TVs than I can count. Sure you don't need a TV? Nope. Xbox? Nope. And even if I did, everybody in the country's dirt broke. We're dealing with the depression across the country of epic proportions. Who the hell would want to buy a TV or Xbox anyway, sir? I know, señorita. I just thought I would ask. I'm trying to upsell. My boss still gets on my case if I don't upsell. Shortly after the story broke to the rest of the world, the propaganda machine shifted into high gear as the government began to ration electricity, something the Webbot said to pay attention to, power outages in different parts of this country, our country, in a future near you soon. Which, as I read that and heard his Wujo report on YouTube, I hear about somewhere in Las Vegas or Nevada somewhere, big power outage happens and people are out of electricity and something blew up in the power plant. It got fixed. But what if that starts happening more frequently, more commonly, and across the U.S.? We're going to have some problems. So as the government began to ration electricity, it was announced that this was not due to economic reasons at all, but instead was a measure of their great concern for the environment. No, seriously, who's writing this? Something called government is writing it. And guess what? It's not ours this time. It's a different government, different country. But governments are like pimples. The ones with the big white heads, and you squeeze them and the white stuff pops out. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, South America, North. It's the same. A pimple is a pimple is a pimple. And a government is a government is a government. Sorry about our luck. And we wonder why history shows over and over and over and over violent revolutions. And you just know the powers that be are watching with binoculars Venezuela. We can't wait for those people to get into civil unrest, because the second they do that, we are going to pounce and put one of our club members, so to speak, minions in there, Western friendly, and we will allow their system to recover at that point. And then when we implement the New World Order, they will join the New World Order with us. And they'll do our bidding, do what we want them to do. To the people of Venezuela, they'll see this new leader as great. The dollar got revalued over there, and no more long lines, and they got food, and they got all the stuff they needed. Only because, which this hasn't even happened yet, by the way, only because we put in one of our people to take over Venezuela. The question is that actually going to happen? Are we going to be able to do that? I'm certain we are waiting for civil unrest over there. And the second we do, we will put in the stooges to rile up their population. And hey, follow me, I'm the new, leader. And he may be a socialist too, because the club loves dealing with socialists. They don't have this Congress and Supreme Court. One man, I run the show. And behind me, Uncle Sam runs the show and my puppet master. So let me try to finish reading this before I keep interrupting myself. As the situation continued to devolve, farmers in Venezuela were forced to hand over their crops last summer. They assumed control of essential goods like food and began putting retail outlets out of business. Then, once they had control of the sales outlets, they began forcing farmers and food manufacturers to sell anywhere from 30 to 100%. 30 to 100% of their product to the state at the price the state said this is what we're going to pay you, as opposed to stores and supermarkets. But that wasn't enough to keep the population fed. And he says, isn't it astonishing how much less motivated people are to produce food and supplies when they are no longer allowed to benefit from their hard work? Historically, collectivism and farming have never gone successfully hand in hand. This January, the government told citizens that they would need to produce their own food. Let me right-click that link. Latino.foxnews.com. Interesting. This is from January 21st, 2016. Venezuela's response to food shortages? Grow your own food at home. Caracas, amid the worst economic crisis Venezuela has faced in decades, the self-described revolutionary government, led by President Nicolas Maduro, has set in motion a revolutionary idea to solve the acute food shortages. Let's become producers at home. Celia and I have 50 chickens in our house, said Maduro recently, referring to his wife. It's time to develop a new culture of production, he added before announcing the creation of yet another ministry called the Urban Farming Ministry. The new institution is headed by Emma Ortega, a left-wing and colorful activist known to be a longtime friend of President Maduro. Quote, people have to solve the current emergency cultivating in any available space, she said this week during a first meeting of urban farmers in Caracas. We just need sun, water, and a lot of hearth, or did she mean earth? Currently, our cities are just food consumers and parasites, she noted. Hold on. Currently, our cities are just food consumers and parasites, she noted. Ortega, who likes to sing during public events, doesn't hide her hard feelings toward the United States either. Oh, this might get really interesting. Quote, "If a gringo comes here, we have to beat him with a stick. If we just have a pencil, we have to poke him in the eyes," said the 62-year-old farmer in Suramist back in March of 2015 after the U.S. sanctioned 7 Venezuelan government officials for their alleged violation of human rights, while we simultaneously bombed the living shit out of hospitals, families, and anything that we feel like we need to bomb. And sorry about that, I was just a casualty of war. I'm sorry. How many? A or B? How many? Not how many. We're going to go with true or false. True or false. More United States servicemen and women come back home, commit suicide, and obviously die, than are actually killed on the battlefield. True or false? I would play my little game show. Ding, ding, ding. I don't have it in front of me. Correct. True. Correct. In the past few years, Venezuela has grown increasingly dependent on food imports to cover the needs of its 30 million people. But the dramatic drop in oil prices, and who sets those prices? Where are those prices set? The people selling the oil. No. The COMEX, United States Stock Exchange, so to speak, the COMEX market for commodities. Pieces of paper set the price of oil. Not oil, not the people selling the oil, not the people buying the oil. These freaking pieces of paper. So who has caused Venezuela's severe pain and suffering? USA. 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 But hold on. 2015, the U.S. sanctioned 7 Venezuelan government officials for their alleged violation of human rights. Human rights violations, we're sanctioning you. Same person who sanctioned you for human rights violation had just committed the most atrocious human rights violations across the entire planet. Not just in your country. The whole freaking planet. Why? Same reason. We set the price of oil. All oil-producing nations are suffering beyond your wildest dreams because they can't survive on $30 or less oil. They need a minimum of $70 to $80 per barrel. So who should be getting sanctioned right now? Who's the one that committed human rights violations? You see how this is? We play the club in the U.S. Sickening, actually. It's sickening. So they've grown increasingly dependent on food imports, but the dramatic drop in oil prices greatly reduced its purchasing power, which explains the persistent scarcity of the most basic goods in the snaky lines all over the country. The socialist government is offering workshops and classes to enlighten those who know nothing about farming. I will say that it doesn't sound like a bad idea. Learn how to grow some stuff. Oh, you're going to be the cucumber grower of the neighborhood? Good. I'm going to be the lettuce. You want iceberg or romaine? I'll do both. I'll be the lettuce grower of the community. But see, everybody is used to just being able to go, I don't want to do that. I'll buy it. In our case, we import it over here in Venezuela until an emergency happens. This is why it is critical for every country on the face of the earth, whatever country you might be in, to be completely self-sufficient. If you are importing anything that you don't produce at home, you are absolutely positively going to get screwed by the imperialist club elite of the world, who technically right now are running the United States government. But if you don't have all those things, you're screwed. If you have to import stuff, you're screwed. The thing is, any country, especially ours, the United States, we have everything we need in here. We don't have to import. We don't have to export. We really don't. Why do we? Yeah, but we don't have oil. Oh, yes, we do. It was found off of Gull Island, Alaska, 1970s, early. Then they found a second pool of oil, both of them with 200 years supply of oil in each drill test it did. But that doesn't jive with the New World Order plan. We had to scare everybody in the 70s with gas shortages so that you would accept going to the Middle East. Oh, terrorists, man, they're terrorists. Yeah, but they got the oil. We don't. All right. They made you feel the pain at the gas line. So what do you suppose they're going to do when they implement the New World Order? They're going to make you feel some pain. And it'll be the most pain any of us have ever felt, possibly any generation on this planet has ever felt, so that we beg them to make the pain stop. What's the solution, guys? Well, we need a one world currency. Look at Venezuela. They suffered. They had to devalue. It was brutal. Greece, Canada, down 30%. They're $1.70 to our dollar. But if we all had one currency across the world, there's nothing to compare it with. It's the same value for everyone. Oh, yeah. See, senor, do it. My kids are suffering. Okay, we'll do it. That's how it's going to go. So, we finished reading this. This piece from Fox News is actually interesting. Socialist government is offering workshops and classes to enlighten those who know nothing about farming. In an interview with Fox News Latino, Maria Jimenez, a field technician with the government-run Sierra Foundation, explained that all that is required is, quote, any available place at your house with enough light. In a balcony, you can cultivate in self-made wooden tables or in bottles, she said. You can grow tomatoes, chives, cayenne, pepper, and much more. One of the few urban farming initiatives already underway in Caracas is the Boulevard's Crops Center, a 27,000 square foot area located in the middle of downtown. It was refurbished in 2015, and pro-government groups are now growing 20 different produce there, from lettuce. Man, you took my job. Lettuce and spinach to tomato, onions, and some medicinal plants. Now we're talking. According to Mr. Ortega, the goal is to extend urban farming to every neighborhood in Venezuela's urban areas. If a building has 120 apartments and they all have crops, they could even exchange the different produce they grow, she said. What are you listening to J. Snip Ford, lady? That's what I just said. You're going to be the cucumber guy? I'm going to be the lettuce guy? You want to play a nasty joke on one of your neighbors that you hate? Grow some of those ghost peppers? Oh, here you go. Let me put this in your salad for you. I used to grow those suckers. Let me tell you something. I took a little snip off the end of one. It was tiny. It just went like this. Oh. Now, it wasn't enough to really cause a big reaction, but let me tell you. It was powerful. Brutal. And of course, you'd be pissed. Your whole neighborhood would be pissed off at you in an emergency. Like, why are you growing ghost peppers when we're like trying to live, right? Probably would not go too well. So, anyways, this is interesting because the government is now telling them people, which the lady said, you're pretty much a parasite. Stop being a parasite and actually produce. Help grow some food. I gotta tell you, I kind of like that idea. Take care.